I don't know about you guys, but I hate waiting in line. Who hates waiting in line? And the only thing worse than waiting in line is waiting in line when you're hungry. With Trufl, that won't be an issue. I'll tell you what else I can't stand as a consumer and as a guest. When I order my food and it's wrong. How many of you have had your food ordered and it's wrong? Right? So whether you're gluten-free, nut-free, vegan, dairy-free, you like your eggs over hard and not over easy, with the Trufl app, those preferences will follow you to every single place you go. With the Trufl app, you can bid on being first seated at super busy restaurants. The amount that you bid is not just to get in the door. The amount you bid is money you can spend once you're in restaurant. So it allows the restaurant to then know what you're going to spend when you sit down. So the restaurant then knows this person's coming in to spend money and not necessarily coming in to order water, an appetizer, and take up my table for 2 hours. With the Trufl app, the consumer is able to avoid long waits in line. They're able to see what their wait time is at restaurants. Sometimes you wonder, how long is the wait at a restaurant? I don't have a reservation. If I go, am I going to have to wait 5 minutes to get in, or am I going to have to wait 2 hours to get in? With Trufl, you can see your wait time directly from your mobile device. You will also be able to maintain that user profile we talked about. That user profile is so important. Right? So many of us have preferences that we don't always like to have to explain every single time we go into a restaurant. We have certain things that, in certain ways that we like our food, that we like our meals. With Trufl, every single restaurant will be able to know those preferences from the moment you walk into the door. From the restaurant side, you get a guaranteed minimum. You hear stories all the time about restaurants wondering when consumers sit down, is this person going to sit down and is this party of four going to order, appetizers and dessert and an extra bottle of wine? Or are they going to sit down and order a salad and water and we're going to be losing revenue because someone else could have taken that seat? Right? With Trufl, you're able to indicate to the restaurant what you plan on spending. And so during the busiest peak times, consumers that are really hungry, that want to get in and they're willing to spend a little bit extra in order to get that seat are able to do that. The other thing that's really important for restaurants is they're able to turn tables more efficiently. Does anyone in here know a restaurant owner? Okay, a bunch of people know restaurant owners. I'll give you a couple things restaurant owners really do not like. One thing they don't like is reservations. You might wonder, why don't restaurants like reservations? I'll give you 3 reasons. 1, people don't show up for reservations. So you have a reservation at a restaurant, I've been guilty of it, you don't show up. That restaurant doesn't know you're not going to show up until maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes later. Do they hold that table? Do they not hold that table? If I'm a guest and I show up 15 minutes late, I still want to be seated. That restaurant doesn't know. And during that time that table isn't filled, that's revenue lost for a restaurant owner. And restaurant has a very thin margin business. The second reason is people show up late. So they don't show up and they show up late. They show up late for reservation, they still expect to get seated. And I'll give you the third reason that I've been guilty of many times. They show up with different party sizes. We made a reservation for 4 and we show up with 6. Can't we just pull up a couple chairs and make this table from a 4 to a 6? As a consumer, we don't think that's a big deal. We don't know that behind that host or hostess is sitting there looking at the floor plan, trying to juggle things just to make it work, to make sure that they can provide a good experience for you when you walk into the restaurant. With the Trufl app, we help restaurants manage that on-demand seating much better than any other platform that exists out there. So what does it look like? It's very, very simple. And sometimes we feel the best ideas are the simplest because we are trying to empower restaurant owners to provide a better hospitality experience. So you choose a restaurant. What restaurant do you want to go to? You choose your party size. After you choose your party size, let's say it's a party of 3, it'll give you a wait time. Our proprietary algorithm will be able to update wait time based on the party size at that very minute. So you can know if I want to go to this restaurant, it's going to be a 45-minute wait. Now as a guest, I have a choice. Do I just want to join the wait list and wait 45 minutes? If the restaurant allows me, do I want to get a table now for $200? Or do I want to make a bid? Maybe I don't want to quite spend $200 to get in right now, but I'll bid $150 and see if the restaurant accepts it. So I can bid $150 for that table of 3, and they will let me know that they will let me know whether they accept it or not. And when I go back to my home screen, I can continue to track my wait time. As you can see on the final screen, It started at 45 minutes. I have now been waiting 3 minutes. I can see how long I've been waiting. If after 10 minutes I decide the restaurant hasn't accepted my $150 bid, I might want to up my bid. I might want to bid a little bit more because I'm getting hungry and I want to eat. All right, so this is the workflow that happens within the app for the consumer. There are a ton of competitors in the space, and I get asked all the time, who are the competitors? The one most folks know about is OpenTable. OpenTable is the gargantuan player in this space. And there are a ton of restaurants that we call OpenTable Lights. They are companies that are exactly like OpenTable, except they're cheaper or more personalized. They say they're different, but they're really not. They're the exact same as OpenTable. We are very different than all of our competitors. Unlike our competitors that are trying to make reservations easier, we are trying to eliminate most reservations. We want reservations to be a thing that people make a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance for special occasions, birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's Day. We don't want reservations to be something that you make the day of at 4 p.m. for a 7 p.m. reservation. That should be an on-demand platform where people can get seated quickly once they come into the restaurant. The problem right now is there's not a platform that allows restaurants to better manage that. Trufl is that platform. So with Trufl, there's no longer waiting unnecessarily in line, no endless no-show reservations, no reservations showing up late, and no reservations showing up with different party sizes. With Trufl, you are always first in line. We have about 5 minutes for questions. So are there any questions?
Hi, my name is Alton.
Alton, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I have a two-part question. So the first question is, how do you deal with like the current trend of multiple people wanting to split the check? So you have 5, 6 cards, and then how do you also, from a perception standpoint, how do you deal with this maybe having an elitist thing? Because like for me, I'm comfortable with it. I can spend the extra 150, 200 bucks. But if you want to go to a nice restaurant, you don't have that kind of money. Like, how does your company look at that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I have a two-part answer for you. So the first part is the split check dilemma we are going to address in future versions. So early adapters of Uber know that early on when Uber existed, you could not split the ride. Now you can. It's a technology that's capable of being built in, but it is something that because it is a significant build and there's a cost associated with that, we decided not to build into version 1. It will be in future versions, so we will be able to address that. The second question is, how do you deal with the elitist idea that now you're creating this elitist concept around bidding on the next available table? And the answer to that is really complex, but I'll give you the easy answer. If I'm a restaurant and there's a consumer coming to my restaurant, I have an expectation as a restaurant that that consumer is able to afford the meals at my restaurant. It's not good for a restaurant who has very, very small margins for someone to essentially deceive the restaurant, come to the restaurant because they want to be a part of it and not order food or only order a glass of water or a glass of wine. It's only fair for a restaurant to be able to maintain their business to have a platform that indicates for them better what you're going to spend. The restaurant industry is the only industry, and I challenge someone to think of a different one, where you give up your limited inventory. You give up your seats. There's only so many seats in the restaurant. You give that up, and you have no idea what you're going to get for it. Would you as a person give up something that you worked really hard for and not know what someone was going to give you for it? Probably not. So what we try to do is create more balance, because then it allows the restaurant to provide a better hospitality experience for the consumer, allows the restaurant to now not have the same opportunity cost. Because while you might really want to eat at that restaurant, there might be somebody that came in 10 minutes after you that's willing to spend a lot more, that is going to spend money in that restaurant, and that restaurant might lose out on that business. So we really want to bring more of an equilibrium so restaurants can be better empowered to provide a better service to their customer. And what we will eventually do over time is say, you want to eat at that really nice restaurant? We're actually going to empower you to do it. But guess what? Not on their busiest nights. We're going to let you know when are the nights you can go to that nice restaurant. Maybe it's a Tuesday night. Maybe it's a Wednesday afternoon. You still want to go to that restaurant? That restaurant might love to have you, but they just don't want you to displace their highest revenue times at a time when another consumer might have wanted to come. Very good question, though.
What happens if you're in California and then, like, the restaurant's all the way in New York? How does that work?
This is a great question. Tell me your name.
Norman.
Tell me one more time.
Norman.
Norland. Great question. So the question he asked was, what happens if you're in California and the restaurant's in New York and you bid on that restaurant all the way from California? So this is one of the very first things we address with the platform. There's a geolocator. You have to be within 0.1 miles of the restaurant to bid. You can see restaurants anywhere, but you can't bid if you're in LA and the restaurant's in New York. You have to be really, really close to the location, and we track that via your GPS and your phone. So you authorize us to track your location so we know that you're close to the restaurant. In future versions of the restaurant, based on your status and based on your relationship with the restaurant can enable you to bid from 10 miles away or 45 miles away. But in version 1, you actually have to be geolocated in order to bid on the restaurant. Very good question, though.
Hi, my name is Chris, and so my question is, why is your company called Trufl, and why is it spelled Trufl, and how long has it been in operation? Out of genuine curiosity.
Very good questions. So why is it called Trufl? The short version is we ideated for a while with a group of us, and one of our investors ended up popcorning the name Trufl. We liked it. We thought it fit because it had to do with food, which we are in the food tech space, right? As a hospitality company, we liked the name as well because it was somewhat exclusive, right, and elevated, which we thought was important. And it's spelled Trufl, to be honest with you, because all the other versions of the spelling are taken.
How long has it been in operation?
We have been in business for a little over 2 years. We won't go to market for another year. So what I like to tell people is the first 2 years was going from an idea, right, in our head. There's 10 of us now. So it went from just an idea to creating a deck, to getting an investor on board, building a very small prototype, to now to the point we're getting ready to go to market June 15th. So good question.
Hey, my name is Tia.
Nice to meet you, Tia.
Nice to meet you, too. So my question was, how, to the scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like your job?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I like my job? I would say 100. I love my job. I love my job.